A new White House report on the stimulus gives it high marks and praise for doing what was intended and coming in under budget. But we've all heard the criticism about how some of this money was spent. In some cases, tens of millions of dollars to create just a handful of jobs, and 15 million Americans are still out of work. So can the administration really say this stimulus worked? We're back with our panel, and Ron Miller, let's start with you. Yes, it came under time and under budget. That's kind of like saying, you know, as a sports coach, well, we ran the play that was intended. It may not have gained 50 yards, but it worked, I guess. So 9.6% unemployment, almost 15 million Americans out of work. Did the stimulus do what they intended it to do?
Well, I suspect that whoever wrote that report was probably helping themselves to some liquid stimulus while they were writing it. It seems to me that if you read the bill, just read the bill and where the money went, it didn't go into the places where jobs are really going to be impacted. It didn't go into the private sector. It went to government workers, to unions, to pet projects and things of that sort. And a lot of that money is still sitting in the Treasury's coffer, so of course it's under budget. It hasn't been released yet.
They were no dummies. They inserted one term that was brilliant: jobs saved, because it's impossible to define that and come up with a true number. So they're going to say it worked by saving 3.5 million jobs. Is this just political, though, Tara, right before the November midterms? Is this just kind of a PR pump-up job?
No, the stimulus absolutely helped this economy. Every independent analysis said so, including MIT, Rutgers, CBO. So they say that. But here's the thing about saved jobs.
It helped.
It helped the economy.
Of course, it's $800 billion. It had to help.
But the economy was in free fall, so it was a stopgap measure. And as far as saved jobs are concerned, that's important to the people whose jobs are saved. Now, remember how the stimulus works. A lot of the contracts that are let go to private firms. Government workers aren't paving streets. Government workers aren't building alternative energy and building wind turbines. That's not how it works. Those are private companies. Now, because of the financial crisis, those private companies were hemorrhaging jobs. The stimulus allowed them to keep their people employed. And to those people who kept their jobs, it's important.
Again, that is impossible to define who was going to be fired or going to be laid off. Go ahead.
But part of it is no politician can ever run for re-election on the slogan, "It could have been worse."
Right.
But
that's a tough sell.
Economists, however, can argue that the economy could have been at 10.5% unemployment, 11% unemployment. The failure of the Obama administration, in my view, is not a big enough stimulus at the outset, and being so concerned about being blamed for spending the money badly that they spent the money too slowly. It should have all been spent in 2009 rather than doled out over four and a half years.
Their goal was 70% spent by this point, and it has lived up to that. That's the Paul Krugman, Christina Romer angle, that they wanted it to be a bigger stimulus. But here's the ultimate question. Will this sales job work on the American people? Are they buying that this thing worked? And will they in November?
No, they're not going to buy it. I mean, the fact is that there's no such thing as a jobless recovery in the minds of all the people that are still out of work. And they need to get out into the streets and talk to people. People are very, very upset, not only about the situation they find themselves in, but the feeling that they're treating this money as if it was money that they should be directing. They'd have been better off taking that money and giving a check to all the American people. That would have been more of a stimulus than what they did.
Tara's just going to shake her head on that one. Tara Dowdell, Walter Shapiro, Ron Miller, thank you all for being here this morning. A good debate. Coming up on the show, well, let's get out to Ainsley and Clayton to find out what's coming up, guys.
Thanks, Dave.